to our show, Faith and Community. I'll be your host for this episode. My name is the Reverend Kate Seitz Bortner. I'm the Associate Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation, located in the 900 block of South George Street here in York. Our guest today is my friend and good neighbor up the street, the Reverend Stan Reep, who is the Senior Minister of St. Paul's Lutheran Church.
Yes.
Welcome, Stan.
Thank you, Kate.
I'm so excited that we get to kick off this special show about churches and people of faith working in the community, and we get to showcase St. Paul's right off the bat.
Great. Well, it would be, I'd be amiss if we didn't start by saying it's interesting that the two of us begin this when we are two people who are already in partnership. A few years ago, one of Kate's members came and did an adult Sunday school class for us in the summer. And in our conversations about what we believe and what's meaningful to us, one of the things that surfaced was a community garden. And that was just a concept. Now, if you know St. Paul's location, we don't have much land and we have very limited parking. And so the Unitarian congregation had acreage that they were willing to partner with. And so Kate and I have developed a friendship through a community garden. The third year, ready to begin our fourth planting season. So that's upon us. And that ministry shared together is providing fresh produce for the food pantry predominantly at St. Paul's congregation. That's one of the many things that St. Paul's as a faith community is involved with here in the city of York. Meeting needs for families every Tuesday morning, week in and week out, throughout the years. And so being able to have fresh produce to augment the canned goods and the other items that are donated and that are purchased to assist our families in our community is really important. So we started last year, we had things, from May and through the end of October to be able to augment with fresh produce. So that's one way that we're able to work together in the community.
Yes, I think one of the most exciting things for me about that is it's not just St. Paul's and the UU congregation, where our third organizational partner is Crispus Attucks. And so we really have this three-legged stool in our neighborhood to help make our neighborhood stronger and healthier and strengthen our relationships, get to know one another. And in between the three of us, we've got the Early Learning Center and we've got neighbors who come, and hopefully we'll have more neighbors come and eventually have family garden plots on the area too.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. You know, you mentioned your food pantry, Stan. Why don't you say a little bit more, actually, the address of where St. Paul's is located so people can find you, and say more about the food pantry, when it started and how it works.
We're at the corner of South George Street and Springettsbury Avenue. 25 West Springettsbury is the church office and entrance for most of the activities not occurring on Sunday morning, and there are plenty that occur not on Sunday. The food pantry began, I want to say, nearly 30-some years ago, and it's been meeting needs in the community. Originally, it was just the southwestern corner of the city, but it has grown. And while we still try to keep the client base in that particular zone of the city, we don't turn people away. We are always about meeting needs. And with the economic downturn, the needs have grown and the client base continues to grow. And so there's some real issues for us to deal with as citizens about insufficient food here in our own community. But we're blessed. Our coordinator has a nursing background, and so she's very able to look at what are healthy choices, what kinds of things are we able to give out. A decade ago, we were still preparing bags of food to just give to people. Now we try to accompany each client through much more like a supermarket, allowing them to pick things that they will use from things that they won't based on their family and their ethnicity, and so that there's less waste and more benefit to the families who come to the pantry. So it's been an ongoing ministry in the community. The distribution day is always Tuesday mornings. We try to deal with from 10 to 11:30. People are often in line at 8:30 in the morning. Everyone who comes takes a number and we deal with them sequentially. And the staff who come, the volunteers, work until all of the clients receive food that day. So some afternoons, we don't close until probably 1 o'clock or shortly thereafter until everyone's needs are met, or at least slightly provided for.
Or get something.
Right.
Well, I know that particularly one year, our garden, I think it was the second year, we had tomatoes by the truckload. The tomato plants grew to be 10 feet tall. And I remember hearing that if all of the produce isn't taken by the clients who come to your food pantry, then those things, the surplus then goes to the food bank on Princess Street.
Right.
So it all gets distributed.
It all gets utilized.
And used in some way. So we're benefiting not just our neighborhood, but ultimately when the tomato wars and the zucchini begin to really be plentiful, everybody gets some.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are lots of other opportunities for people to be involved. The congregation's been really active with Habitat for Humanity. In the county, a couple of years we've been Church of the County. It's one of those things Lutherans don't talk about much. We're always putting our lamp under a bushel, but we were recognized for leadership and
your congregation.
St. Paul's congregation. And the congregation has been very active, both in raising financial resource and awareness, and also working on projects. Both here in the city, predominantly has been our emphasis, but other places throughout the county. So Habitat is a big, important ministry that we're a part of and that others could join in, sharing in the work and witness.
Habitat is one of those organizations and ministries that has for generations now been meeting real needs in terms of housing, affordable housing for low-income people. And it garners, it's figured out a way to really garner volunteer help, not just from the faith community, but from the wider community. But it's a way for lots of churches, big and small, and their members to funnel their energy and their desire to really do something big and accomplish it, to be a small part of something big that results in a house and a home for a family.
And home ownership is huge. So many people are under the impression that Habitat is sort of a giveaway, and it is not. The people who are screened are employed, have work history, and are trying to stabilize their family system and become a stable producer in our neighborhoods to keep a solid foot in a community. So Habitat does a great deal here in the city, helping stabilize neighborhoods, changing things from being so transient. And when people become more committed, they're also more committed to the local businesses, shopkeepers, lots of other things. So not just providing that roof over people's heads, but also what it means to be community and to live in relationship with one another. So I think that's a really important piece.
Well, in my previous profession with the York City Police Department, I saw in very concrete terms the difference that Habitat homes in an area, in a neighborhood, made from the quality of life point of view. And a block and a neighborhood could go from being a problem neighborhood with lots of vandalism and criminal activity to 3 Habitat homes go up, stable families move in, becomes a neighborhood watch block, and the police are no longer getting calls to that neighborhood. It's one of those ways of doing what we might call social justice work in the community that's community development. And it changes the whole system.
Sure.
Not just the people who move into the new home, but it ripples out, which is really worth investing in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, St. Paul's has one of the oldest Boy Scout troops, and it's still in continuation.
Really?
It continues, and we're one of the few remaining troops in the city of York proper, and we're trying to do recruitment. The current troop truly is reflective of the neighborhood, and we're trying to work. The congregation's been very supportive of helping those young boys raise the necessary funds in order to go to summer camp and to have those additional experiences. So scouting, whether you have a youngster ready to begin scouting or whether you might be an Eagle Scout yourself, have some history and would like to give back some expertise, that's an opportunity in York City to utilize those skills and gifts or to learn those skills and gifts that scouting offers. So Troop 19 is a good...
Troop 19. So if someone wants to learn more about Troop 19 or sign their youngster up, what should they do?
Well, I can say if they contact St. Paul's, and I can send them on to the Scoutmaster and put them in touch. But
so we'll have the phone number and website scrolling along the bottom of the screen so people can
access that.
Call you and sign up for all of these wonderful programs.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have lots of good things. St. Paul's is host for 2 AA fellowship groups, one Sunday evening and one Wednesday evening. And those ministries are really important for family life, to sustain life. They're very life-giving, so we're honored to be able to host and welcome into our physical plant folks who are changing their life and who are getting a new lease on life. We're not always aware of that kind of quiet ministry that happens within the walls of not just St. Paul's, but many congregations, and the systemic effect as those folks leave, keeping jobs, keeping family life together, really important aspects in community, and always welcome for worship, for prayer, for enrichment. So,
so just say a little bit about your Sunday services.
Sunday, we have 2 liturgies, one at 8 a.m. and one at 10:30 a.m. Religious education is between the 2 at 9:15, and we offer a variety of things, classes from infant through adult. We're currently finishing up adult series on food insecurity in America and one on the criminal justice system and some ways in which we can be more aware of needs in our community and just folks who have served their time and are coming back into the community. How do we greet them? How do we sustain them? What are the needs? So those have been really great Sunday school classes, but the worship life is very rich. We're pretty much a traditional parish, if somebody knows what that means. Traditional forms of liturgy, the liturgical calendar and church year is very much a stable part of who we are. And if you are at all familiar with the architecture of St. Paul's Church, we're just up from the hospital. It's a beautiful Georgian colonial building, and just the physical space in worship is very elegant and calming of the spirit. It has all clear glass windows, and so we have a great sense of the outside and the inside and light and shadow that is different from other places I've served that have been kind of dark and wooden and stained glass laden, beautiful in their own right. But it took me a while to get accustomed to this sort of bright, very much alive space, but very calming and peaceful too for other times, for meditation, for prayer. So always a possibility for folks.
Is your church open during the day and the week if someone would want
Certainly.
to come?
And once again, the doors that are accessible are the doors facing Springettsbury Avenue. There's a handicap ramp to that door and a doorbell, so that most any day, 7:30 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And then I'm there a lot of evenings, and periodically people will stop for prayer. And that's an important ministry to provide for people.
I know another aspect that for some people is a deep ministry is music. And I imagine that you have a choir.
We do. We are blessed. We have a chancel choir that sings predominantly at the 10:30 liturgy. Jubilee singers, who are a less formal group, who sing at the 8 o'clock liturgy about once a month. And they rehearse right after the 8 o'clock service. We have a gorgeous Cassavant 3-manual pipe organ. A capable musician, Victor Fields, is our musician at the time. We're blessed with a beautiful Steinway grand in the nave, and 5 octaves of English handbells. So the handbell choir generally ring about once per month and do a variety of things. We have some nice things planned for the Lenten season: bells, piano, French horn, and clarinet, and Good Friday handbells, cello, and oboe. So kind of some different configurations in our music ministry.
So calling all musicians.
Yes. Children's choir runs in terms, in kind of season 6 to 7 week units. And then we augment that with exploring music and crafts, which is preschool children through 6th grade. Anyone is welcome. We try to make that ministry available to people of all kind of walks of life. We get a lot of young families through preschool ministry at St. Paul's who maybe have a church home but don't have an active youth ministry program. So this is really great. The children get to explore early childhood music and development, as well as some craft components that go with that. We run 3 units of that generally a year, one in the fall, one in the winter, and one late spring. These 3 this year were called to serve in Africa, called to serve in Japan, called to serve in South America. So the themes were all based on music, things from Africa, song tones from Japan and South America, and craft items. So Kelly Spencer, our youth director, works diligently with the youth. She has an art background, so that is enriching. My wife, Emily, is the music person with handbells and children and instrumental ensembles. So she's a music educator. So we're really fortunate, along with Victor as organist and adult choir director. The music ministry is vibrant and varied. Vibrant and varied.
I know that sometimes it's the music opportunities that will bring someone in.
Certainly.
Someone who just loves to sing or wants to practice the instrument that they enjoy as a hobby.
Sure. We try always, we have a picnic in the summer, and my wife puts together an ensemble of instrumentalists who maybe haven't played since last year, but get together and play familiar, generally old hymns that are familiar to most folks. And we generally do that outside at Kane Park.
I was wondering where you have that picnic. It would be pretty crowded in your
It would be pretty crowded.
corner lot there.
So we're fortunate there, and we do an outside simple service, but the music is lush, and
sounds like a lot of fun.
it is a lot of fun.
Your mentioning children reminded me of another project that we both are a part of promoting, a relatively new one in the neighborhood, and that's with the Early Learning Center. Teacher in our neighborhood.
Right. The Teacher in Our Neighborhood is an opportunity for some of us to give back, helping the teachers get the accreditation that they need in their continuing education. So financially, we're supportive of those individuals so that they can continue their own education and enrichment, passing that along as they deal with and work with our young children in the neighborhood.
Yes.
So we have that component as well as preschool at St. Paul's, and this is the calendar year when we celebrate the 50th anniversary of preschool at St. Paul's congregation. It started as a kindergarten, and then when kindergarten became stable in school districts, there was seemingly no need for that. We bumped down and morphed into a preschool, and the preschool ministry is very vibrant and very active. Classes for 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and 4-year-olds. And enrollment for us follows the same criteria that it does for the school districts, being age by August 31st before students can move into the next grade or age level. That keeps the 4-year-old students completing their class as a 5-year-old ready to start kindergarten in public school or private schools. So.
And in these 50 years, I think it's fair to say that we as a society have grown ever more appreciative of the value of that very early childhood education and how essential it is to prepare children, give them a solid start in learning and preparing them for school. It makes a difference not only in their life quality, but in the family and in the entire community.
Certainly.
That early childhood education is essential. And as budgets get thinner and thinner, every faith community who offers that at any scale, I think, is doing a great service to the community and the people they serve.
We're able to keep the prices very affordable, mainly because the space is provided by the congregation. Mm-hmm. There are many aspects of that ministry that are truly underwritten by the congregation as a whole, who sees the merit and the benefit of our early childhood education. I'm able to do chapel twice a week with the groups, the 3-year-olds and 4-year-old classes. So we do basic Bible stories and sing some basic Bible songs. Have some basic prayers that children learn early on to help form some faith and be able to move on from there and kind of remembrance. And I'm always amazed at the kids who will see me other places, recognize me, from chapel long after they've left preschool. You wait in line at the movie theater and children recognize you and remember that, chapel experience. So that early piece, I think, wow, I had them just one day per week. What they're really gaining, they're probably not even aware of with our staff. Right. And we have a wonderful staff. I've been at St. Paul's 10 years, which is unbelievable for me. But in 10 years, we've had one retirement. The rest of the staff has been stable. And we've added staff because we added an additional 4-year-old class a year ago to meet needs and demands as society has changed and there's been a greater need. So that's been a really good part of our ministry at St. Paul's, is the preschool.
How old is the congregation, St. Paul's?
Oh, we celebrated our 175th anniversary in 2011. So we're moving close towards our 180th anniversary.
At that location?
No. We were part of historic Christ Lutheran Church right off of the square. And in the early 1800s, 1836, we felt the need for an English-speaking Lutheran congregation. So we're the progressives, I suppose, in the community. Wanted the service to be in English. In 1836, formed a congregation. At that time, the Reformed Church, Trinity, provided housing for that group of English-speaking Lutherans, and they purchased land at the corner of South Beaver and West King Streets, city building there currently. That was the site of the first building. Then a second building was erected there, a Romanesque structure that was completely destroyed by arson in 1938. and that allowed then the congregation to move out into the suburbs to the 800 block of South George Street, where we currently are located. And then we brought together two other congregations, Augsburg and St. Luke's, who were serving those lower sections of town. The one congregation became part of Crispus Attucks early in its development and provided housing there for them for a time. And so then St. Luke, Augsburg, and St. Paul formed what is New St. Paul's at the corner of George and Springettsbury. So kind of an interesting past.
It is interesting, particularly in the city, to see the ways in which these churches and faith communities have grown and made their footprint in various locations within the 5 square miles of the city limits.
Certainly.
So it's not just today and our outreach programs that are hopefully transforming the world in good ways, but we've helped to build this community from the very beginning. And that history, I think, is especially important to keep alive and teach our people so that they have a sense of the bigger picture that we're all a part of.
Sure. Well, we're talking another important thing or ministry that's happening, way for people to get involved, is the Lutheran Conference, which is basically 14 congregations clustered close to the city, but as far as Wrightsville and out to York, New Salem. We've had a tutoring program predominantly for students in the city for many, many years. Christ Lutheran Church hosts a Monday evening session. Union Lutheran Church on West Market Street hosts a Tuesday evening session. And this is for young students, elementary age, tutoring one-on-one, where they come together and are able to work on math and reading, writing skills, and we're always in need of tutors. And so if you're interested in volunteering, we have some people who are fearful of coming out at night in urban areas, but we have tried to alleviate all of those concerns with people willing to escort folks from parking to the churches who are hosting. But we have a waiting list of students who would love to be tutored, but for whom we still need tutors. Amanda Donnelly is our director. That's a part-time position funded by the 14 of us as congregations and others who donate. But to have young people want to increase their education is really a valuable piece. So that's Monday and Tuesday evenings in the city, and anyone can do it. We provide the screening that's necessary, the background clearances. We want to make sure that our children are always in as safe an environment as they can be. And so we try to alleviate those, but the program underwrites those expenses. In the last few years, we've offered students who have perfect attendance the opportunity of having their name put in a draw for a week of summer camp.
Oh my.
And the first year, a family from one of our congregations provided that themselves. They were so gracious in just saying, we're so committed to those young students. And this past year, we've gotten more scholarship dollars donated and committed so that more students who have perfect attendance can have their name pulled out and have a week at summer camp. For us, that's at Kirkenwald over near E-Town, or Nawakwa, north of Gettysburg.
I went to Nawakwa.
So lots of people have,
there.
but to provide students from the city who have never had that outdoor ministry experience, a week is a real blessing. So the tutoring program, and it's been going on, I think, more than 30 years. I should know that. And it has come and gone with need, but we've tried to advance the opportunities by having 2 locations so that students can walk, or families can escort their kids to the tutoring program.
So there are 2 ways for someone to really make an impact on this program. And they don't even have to be a member of St. Paul's or a Lutheran necessarily.
Correct.
But if any of our viewers have a passion for education for children, for this particular need, they could offer money to underwrite that summer camp experience.
Certainly.
Or if they love spending time with children and encouraging them, they could be a volunteer tutor.
Exactly.
Such a simple thing to do. You don't
And,
have to
we
invent
also,
the program.
We use snacks. That's another place where if people want to volunteer.
Provide some snacks.
And we also provide little incentives throughout the year, gift certificates to local establishments, you know, $5 gift certificate or a gift card, just kind of keeps the students coming. So we try to put some emphasis on attendance, and by doing some of those things, we've made certain that the kids are there, eager and willing to learn, and bring their schoolwork, and making sure always that they have things to do and to enhance their education.
Everybody likes a little reward for hard work.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm very interested to hear about that tutoring program. I know there is such a need.
Yes.
And again, in our neighborhood where our congregations are located, we've got Jackson School.
Yes.
We're in a neighborhood where you don't have to do any more than walk out your front or back door to see the people who will benefit from so many of these programs that you're involved with.
Sure.
Yes. So, is there any other programs you'd like our viewers to know about, or things that you're particularly proud of St. Paul sponsoring?
Well, they're always doing lots of good things and at varieties. I guess we've tried to be as welcoming to York College students as we can be. We're adjacent to the campus, both in music ministry. We've had a lot of college students join us during their time, sing with the choir, and then move on. They often, find jobs, employment other places. Some have found employment in York and have stayed active members in the congregation, and that's great. The service sororities and fraternities, predominantly Habitat, are always out on the street corner trying to collect for Habitat and do events throughout the year. So we try to make the building open to the students' needs as well as they arise for potluck suppers or fellowship events, just for supporting their communal life together. We've always tried to be open and provide those opportunities when we can. So those are the big things. There's lots more, globally, internationally. We've been really connected to our sister congregation in Tanzania and Africa, and that's probably another whole segment. We've had exchange both with parishioners there come here, and parishioners here go there. Things, once again, our ministry seems to be about teaching God is love, and teaching about the importance of education and providing for education. So
it doesn't just stop at the borders of our community, certainly.
No, it's very broad. But I'm so happy to have this opportunity to talk with you and to our community just about the opportunities St. Paul's offers in relationship with our neighbors. But as a clergy person, I'm aware of other congregations that are in relationship with other neighbors from whom we need to hear and have them share their stories with us as well.
And that's our intent. I hope in the future that we will have the opportunity to meet and speak with lots of clergy people and leaders of the wide variety of faith communities in York who are out there in the community working to transform the world and to have the world touch our hearts in ways that enlarges us as well and renews our sense of commitment. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and help kick off this show. And I'll say thank you to our viewers for tuning in. You can get all of the information about the programs that Pastor Stan just talked about at St. Paul's Lutheran Church The numbers, contact information will be scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and encourage you to contact St. Paul's and take an active part in helping to build a stronger, healthier York community.
Thank you, Kate. It's been always a delight to be with you and to share this time.
Thank you.